Today, we will discuss a number of current matters in a detailed manner, especially in the construction sector, since it is critical for the economy and for the society. First of all, I would like to highlight an important topic. We've discussed this with our colleagues over the past weeks. As you know, a number of Western countries imposed a number of measures, and they froze Russia's assets, which undermine the reliability of their currencies. We no longer have any trust in these currencies. The United States and the European Union defaulted on their obligations towards Russia. Now, everyone in the world knows that the liabilities in dollars and euros may be defaulted upon by the United States and the EU. Not that this was a secret before, but in this connection, when it comes to supplying our goods to Europe or elsewhere for dollars and euros makes no sense for us. And in this regard, we will transition. We'll transition to charging supplies for natural gas and other raw materials in Russian rubles when dealing with unfriendly countries. Russia, of course, will continue supplying natural gas and will respect all the obligations and the pricing under the contracts that we have signed. Unlike some of our colleagues, we treasure our reputation as a reliable supplier and a reliable partner. This only concerns the currency in which we will transact these payments. We will transition to rubles, and I would like the government to instruct Gazprom to amend the contracts accordingly. All foreign consumers must have the ability to make the necessary transactions, and we need to make sure that they benefit from a transparent transactions framework, including on our domestic foreign exchange markets. I ask the central bank with the government to set in place the necessary procedures. As for the agenda of this meeting, I would like to open the discussion. Mr. Putin, colleagues, at the previous meeting with the government members, I already reported on the measures and on our plans. We have been working on this with you in close contact, and now I would like to highlight some measures to make our economy more resilient. Our headquarters remains in touch with the regions at all times. Apart from amendments to 20 federal laws, another 6 packages of amendments and new proposals are being drafted. Along with the measures already approved, we have 200 initiatives for the plan of priority action, and we hope that most of these measures will be enforced by the end of March. Now, there is a question of people having to repay their loans at a much higher rate if they contracted these loans at a floating rate. So we will enact a new restructuring mechanism in the months to come. The borrowers will be able to capitalize these payments and to delay them until the end of the year. We will look at the financial status of the businesses, and we will look for measures to support these businesses. and to create a favorable framework for those who may benefit from some subsidies and reductions. As for mortgages, individual mortgages that were contracted before the interest rates change, they will remain at the same level. Supporting people is what matters the most for us. The citizens will be able to apply for credit holidays with their banks. They will be able to do so if they lost 30% of their income compared to the average for the previous year. We paid special attention to the labor market. We will help those who want to get a job. Not only the unemployed can apply with the unemployment centers, but those who risk becoming unemployed. There is a number of initiatives for supplying the essential goods to the market. We are working with our Eurasian partners within the Eurasian Economic Union, and we decided to increase the limit for duty-free imports on electronics goods to 1,000 euros. And we also are acting on medications and other products. And yesterday we approved new regulations for pharmaceuticals and for their registration, for their procurement, and subsidizing loans in this regard, and as well as to promote import substitution for the essential medications and medical products. We also discussed medical equipment, and we introduced a ban on taking foreign-made equipment out of Russia, and there is the mandatory health insurance fund that is financing these initiatives so that institutions can acquire the necessary equipment for carrying out operations and for diagnostics. In this environment, air companies are facing many challenges. So they lost many airplanes, so they cannot operate their fleets that are registered abroad. The components are not being supplied to the country, and foreign leasing companies ask companies to return their aircraft. You've signed a law on the registration on foreign aircraft, which enabled air companies to continue operating these aircraft on domestic destinations. This enables air carriers to preserve these and to hold on to these planes. We want them to return to the sky and to respect all the provisions of the law, including international law on civilian aviation, but we also need to make sure that we operate them safely. In order to bring the situation back to normal in this sector, the government adopted two directives. We streamlined as much as possible the registration procedure in Russia, and there is also a document which sets forth a special framework for leasing aircraft from foreign companies. And under this provision, we will introduce restrictions for returning aircraft to foreign leasing companies, and the aircraft will be serviced in the country in keeping with the international standards. As for the ships under the Russian flags, they are prevented from entering foreign ports. Of course, we will definitely respond to these measures. We will enact the relevant restrictions. This is far from an exhaustive list that we are working on. There's a major package for the construction industry. We had record high results last year, and we are working to keep up this momentum and to build more and more housing and industrial facilities. We discussed the third package of measures in order to shorten the investment cycle and to create the necessary infrastructure, and we need to reduce the prices of government contracts. A number of steps will be made to promote import substitution. Yesterday, we discussed the program to fine-tune the program on design specifications in Russia, and we introduced the relevant initiatives to the government. We launched an online service as an exchange for import substitution for replacing components, foreign-made components by Russian-made parts in order to create demand for Russian products and to find new partners. This will enable us to acquire the components that we currently lack. There is also a question of research and development in the priority industrial sectors. We are working on special investment contracts, and we revived these efforts in mid-March of this year, and the directive to this effect has been signed by the government. And if the restrictive measures enacted by our foreign partners affect this sector, we will extend the terms for these projects. And we supported the contractors on the government procurement contracts. And if they violate their obligations, they default on their obligations under government procurement contracts. If this is due to the foreign restrictions, they will not have to bear any responsibility. Supporting SMEs is also essential. We are working to make sure that businesses can acquire funds as quickly as possible. We launched 4 programs for small companies so that they can take out subsidized loans, including loans for up to 3 years and subsidized loans under these corresponding national projects, and as well as the umbrella mechanism of bank guarantees for SMEs in specific sectors. There is another package of measures. This is about culture, sport, healthcare, beauty, and tourism sectors. We suggest for these companies to extend the deadline for paying taxes under the simplified tax framework for 6 months, and they will have another half year to pay these taxes so that they can start these payments only in the spring. And this will give them an additional 37 billion rubles in total. Mr. Putin, you've instructed us to work closely with the regions and to assist them, and we decided to reduce their payments under budget loans, and we've discussed this and to enable them to access treasury loans. I would like to note that many of the events were prepared together with the regions of the Russian Federations, with which we are working day in and day out, and they have been proactive, and I would like to thank all of them. They've been keeping in touch with us, and the government will continue working on strategic matters as part of the national development programs. There is a lot that needs to be done on cutting red tape and to improve the business climate. We need to make the economy as flexible as possible, and my colleagues will brief you in more detail on these and other measures. Thank you, Mr. Mishustin. I have another event in my schedule, I would like to give the floor to our colleagues, Mr. Patrushev, Mr. Mantorov, Mr. Murashka, so that they brief us on food security, industrial products, and medical products. We will begin with Dmitry Patrushev. We saw this late last year. The food prices have been increasing, but what is happening right now is an additional burden. We see that people are calming down. They are not buying up all there is in the stores, but there is still uncertainty on the market. So, Mr. Patrushev, you have the floor. And also about subsidies to agricultural producers, to fertilizer producers. And could you cover all these topics? Thank you so much, Mr. Putin. I would like to emphasize that Russia has the necessary food products. There are enough reserves. So the essential products are being delivered to the retail sector in a timely manner, and we're actually working better than last year. The Russian agricultural sector can deal with any hike in demand. Let me comment on the most regarding sugar. So there was a pause in the deliveries to stores. A number of federal retail chains limited sugar supplies to their stores, so we issued guidelines for regional retail chains. We also banned sugar exports from Russia until August. Market players can import white sugar following a 300,000 quota. And this is primarily for Kaliningrad and the Far East. We held a meeting with the industry players, and we also incited companies to find new sources of sugar, new suppliers, and soon new deliveries will be carried out and more sugar will be produced. Спасибо.